GuysFarmingYard.com.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The energy. So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it here on a Wednesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We're up till 6:10 tonight. Then there's Red Sox baseball. They are right now having the tarp on the field at Fenway. We know it's raining there. Hopefully they get this game in, and hopefully they get it in on time. I don't think anybody wants back-to-back, doubleheader situations, right? No, we don't want a doubleheader on Tuesday and a doubleheader on Thursday. I think Major League Baseball wants to get this game in today. The Red Sox and the Yankees don't play each other again after this series, so it's not easy to make games up. So I think we're going to try to get this game in and hopefully get it in on time. But we will keep you posted if anything changes. But, yeah, it is raining right now at Fenway. Speaking of the Red Sox, I spoke with Tom Caron of Nesson earlier today. That interview is already up on our podcast channel, so all things Sox with TC. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio going to join us here at 5:45, talk mostly Patriots. I'm going to get to the Patriots myself in a minute, but I want to remind you, you can get in at 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. I'm here. Danny's here. Danny, Lego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber, as well as Rouse's Point, New York. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. So the Red Sox get beat twice yesterday by the Yankees, right? And that stinks. And the Red Sox now are only one game over 500. And they're 73 and 72. And now the Yankees are tied with the Red Sox for fourth place, last place, however you want to divvy it up. These two teams are tied. The Red Sox are very possibly staring down the barrel of finishing last for the third time in 4 years in the High and Bloom era. And I'm going to talk about something I never thought that I would talk about, but I saw it on the internet yesterday, and I actually got a text about it from somebody yesterday right after I read it on the internet, ironically enough. I just want to spell this out here for Red Sox Nation. Theo Epstein is not coming back to Boston. I can't believe we're really having this discussion, but Theo Epstein is not coming back, at least as the general manager of the Red Sox. Could he come back someday as a part owner? Could he come back someday as somebody with some real clout financially in the organization? Maybe. That's always possible. But let me tell you something. Aspirational people, when they tackle a challenge, they don't tend to go back and try to do that same challenge over again. That's just the way aspirational people are. Aspirational people, they get a challenge, they have a goal, they conquer it, they go on to the next challenge, the next goal, they conquer that, and they keep going and going and going. Very rarely, if ever, do they come back and try to take on that challenge again. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. It would make no sense, as far as I'm concerned, for Theo Epstein to come back and just take Chaim Bloom's job. That's it. Like, if you want Chaim Bloom gone, well, I can understand that. If there's somebody better out there than Chaim Bloom, then I can understand that too. But stop looking in the Theo Epstein basket and stop looking for him to be this organizational savior. He's been there and done that, and he did it great. And then he went on and he rescued the Cubs, and he did that great. And then he went on to Major League Baseball, and he helped put the rules in place that have made the game so great this year. He's done that great. Theo Epstein's not coming back. Okay, coming back to be the general manager of the Red Sox would be a step down for him. He's already done it. He's already done it well. He's already done it at the height. There's no unfinished business here. It would be one thing, like, remember when Tony La Russa he was with the White Sox in the 80s and got fired? Then he went on to Oakland and St. Louis and had great success. and then the White Sox brought him back at the end, and La Russa took the job. Well, there was unfinished business there. Right? You can disagree with the White Sox wanting him back or La Russa taking it or whatever, but there was unfinished business there. So it made sense to me that he would want to come and put the bow on that part of his career and try to do it better than he did the first time around. It didn't work, but I could understand why he wanted it, and I could understand why Jerry Reinsdorf wanted to give him the chance to do that. That's not the case with Theo Epstein. Theo Epstein's already beaten the game. If I beat a video game, I'm not going back and playing it again and trying to redo it. It will never be as satisfying as it was the first time. And all you can do, like if you replicate your success, okay, cool, awesome. If you fail, well, damn, I just wasted all my time and everything I did the first time seems to, not as valuable. All Theo Epstein can do by coming back to the Red Sox is decrease his legacy. And I don't think Theo Epstein's in the business of doing that. He's not in the business of wasting his time, and he's not in the business of decreasing his legacy. You don't conquer something and then go back and try to conquer it again. You just don't. Not when you're somebody at that level. Maybe you and me would go back and try to climb, Mount Philo again. But Theo Epstein's not coming back to the Red Sox again. So I can't believe, ironically, I read that same thing on social media yesterday about people talking about Theo. And then I got a text from somebody who I like and trust who was just a fan, not an insider, who said, man, Theo might be running the Red Sox next year. I was like, no, he's not. No, he's not. And then I asked TC about it earlier today, and he agrees with me.
You look at the way you look at what Derek Jeter did in Miami, right? Derek Jeter had the money to buy the Miami Marlins, but he was the point guy in an ownership group and went in. Could Theo Epstein, to me, that's the future of Theo Epstein, as a guy who puts together an ownership group, maybe an expansion franchise, and gets to run an entire organization the way he sees fit. Now, maybe that could be with the Red Sox as a point person, but I don't think he'd be as general manager.
Okay, again, ownership, that's different than GM. TC, I think he's got the right idea here. We're talking about expansion, right? We talk about Nashville. We talk about bringing baseball to Charlotte. We talk about bringing baseball back to Montreal. Theo Epstein, maybe that's what he could do. But he's already been to the top of the mountain here. He's been to the top of the mountain. He has done the two most thought to be impossible things in baseball in the last 20 years. He helped the Red Sox break the curse of the Bambino, and he helped the Cubs break the curse of the Billy Goat. Like, checkmate. My career is done at that point. So then what does he do? He goes to Major League Baseball and he says, let's fix the game in general. The game that he and the analytics guys helped break, he then went and helped fix. Checkmate again. I'm not doing anything more than that. I don't need to do anything more than that. All I can do is do the job worse than I did before. And that's not what somebody like Theo Epstein is in this for. Theo Epstein also makes a lot of money, or has made a lot of money. He doesn't want to come back for a general manager's salary. Even if the Red Sox paid him at the top of the market, he doesn't want to come back at that money either. I mean, it's just, to me, it's a non-conversation point. I think this will probably be the only time that I have to talk about this. It is a non-conversation point to me. Theo Epstein is not coming back. Glenn in Brookfield says, I agree with you. Peter in Williston says, I agree with you as well. It's nearly impossible to repeat success. Players are different, right? Players go back places they were at the end of their career for fans, for finality, for closure. They go back oftentimes because there was unfinished business, right? I think about, I wanted Tom Brady to come back to sign a one-day contract with the Patriots, right? We wanted Tom Brady to come back and sign a one-day contract. Well, there was no closer to that. We wanted a proper finality to that. That would have made some sense. We talk about Andrew McCutchen going back and re-signing with Pittsburgh. Okay, he got traded in 2016. It's not as big an example, but it's a big example to them. There's finality to that. There's unfinished business there. There's no unfinished business with Theo Epstein. Theo Epstein left the party on as high a note as possible. Right? He left the party having made the perfect joke, having said the perfect goodbye. He doesn't need to come back to the party 3 hours later and do it all again. He does not need to. And he's not going to. Nor should he, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't want Chaim Bloom, I can respect that. If somebody out there is better than Chaim Bloom, I can respect that too. But Theo's not the guy. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. There was more from Freddie about Theo on the interview we did earlier today, or more from TC, I should say. You can find that interview on our podcast channel. Freddie Coleman is going to be with us here in about 5 minutes. I am very interested to see how Mac Jones looks on Sunday. And I don't mean so much on field, right? We're always interested to see how our guys look on the field, okay? Mac is the quarterback of the Patriots. The Patriots are playing Sunday Night Football. They're 0-1 against a division rival. It's a huge game. It's a huge game. Since, Danny, listen to this. Since the playoffs, or since we expanded to a 17-game schedule in 2021, only one team that started out 0-2 has made the playoffs, I think. I think I read that today. Cincy last year. So in 2 years worth of data, every team that started out 0-2, one team has made the playoffs. And that was Cincy last year who got to the AFC title game. So going 0-2, even in a 17-game schedule, has been largely a death sentence for teams. So the Patriots don't want to be 0-2. So I'm interested in what Mac does on the field. But even more so than that, I'm interested in how Mac is emotionally and how Mac is not really just emotionally, how he is maturity-wise and emotionally. Because Mac Jones told us all year he was working on being a better teammate. He was all offseason on being a better leader, and all offseason at keeping his emotions in check. This is the test, right? You're 0-1. He's going to know what I just said, that 0-2 has been largely a death sentence. He's going to be aware of that. So, as I told you weeks ago, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, the Patriots have been punched in the mouth. What happens if they get down 10-0 in the first quarter on Sunday night? What happens if Mac throws an early pick and the adversity is there and Tua goes down and takes it for another touchdown? I mean, what happens if that happens, right? We want to see how Mac responds to adversity. I want to see how Mac is. Mac said on WEEI yesterday in Boston that he's got a 24-hour rule when it comes to thinking about a game. That's fine. So he'll think about week 1 for 24 hours. Now he's on to week 2. But what happens when the rubber meets the road and adversity strikes again? Can he be the guy that he's told us that he wants to be? I'm very, very curious here. It's kind of a psychological case study. He's told us he's worked on this. He's worked on his behavior. He's worked on his maturity. He's worked on his mental game. Now put it into practice. I want to see how it goes, because adversity is going to strike again on Sunday. And I want to see how Mac responds to it. Is Mac the guy who's eye-rolling his offensive coaches again? Is Mac the guy who's pouting on the sideline? Is Mac the guy who's firing off at officials? That's the stuff we can't see, but that's who Mac has been under adversity before. I want to see if Mac truly has changed, if he truly is different, because the Patriots need him to be different. They can win on Sunday against Miami. It doesn't mean they will, but they can win on Sunday against Miami. And if they're going to, they're going to need Mac at his best, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I'm going to be curious kind of how he is in those ways, because it's really important for his development. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. For what it's worth, the Jets have said they're not going to call Tom Brady. They didn't really specify why. They just said they're not going to do it. There's a lot of different reasons, right? They think Tom is too old. They think Tom hasn't been playing in enough shape. They think Tom has no interest in playing football, or Tom has no interest in playing for them, and or they trust Zach Wilson, or there's other people they would call. I don't know why they're not going to call Tom Brady. I think they should call Tom Brady. I'm going to ask Freddie about it, the whole thing, but just they've said they're not going to. For whatever that's worth, they've said they're not going to. We'll see what happens with the New York Jets moving forward, but TB12 is not going to be the guy for them. I never thought he was going to be, but I did think the Jets should call him. Robert Saleh has been pretty staunch in saying that he thinks that Zach Wilson is good enough and is ready to handle that position, and we will see if he's right. Jets are 1-0, obviously, and see what happens moving forward. It's always a season full of intrigue in the NFL every year. We've got hard to believe. Here we are again. We got Thursday Night Football coming up on tomorrow now at this point, 24-ish hours from now, Eagles taking on the Vikings. Vikings need a win. The Vikings might have been the most disappointing team in week one. Them and Seattle are very, very close. But Minnesota loses to a Bucs team that we don't think is very good with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and Minnesota loses at home. That's a bad, bad loss, right? Baker we don't love. Minnesota's at home. You went to the playoffs last year. You've got a division now devoid of Aaron Rodgers that's up for grabs again, and you really choked away an opportunity in week one. That's a terrible loss. Seattle had a terrible loss too. We don't think the Rams are very good. You were also at home. At least you lost to McVay and Stafford, a group that's won a Super Bowl before. Baker Mayfield hasn't. Now, the Bucs have, but Baker Mayfield hasn't. I mean, the Bengals were awful, but they were on the road. It was bad weather, and Burrow hadn't played at all in the preseason and barely took any snaps. I can at least justify that. Seattle was awful. Minnesota might have been the worst. Here we are again, though, Thursday Night Football. It's you can't start 0-2. You can't start 0-2. There are teams that make it to the playoffs at 0-2, but it doesn't happen very often. You got to find a way to get yourself to at least 1-1. If you're Minnesota tomorrow, if you're the Patriots on Sunday. Earlier today, I had a chance to speak with Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio. He's the host of Freddie and Harry. The reason why we have this interview with Freddie taped is because Freddie has gotten a promotion at ESPN Radio. He is actually on the air right now with Harry Douglas. So as a result, we tape our interviews with Freddie in advance. I started out by asking him, Freddie, how are you?
I'm good, my brother Brady. How's everything with you after week one of the NFL season?
Well, the Patriots are 0-1. I'm honestly surprised, though. You sound like your voice is remarkably strong because I've kind of figured you'd been weeping for 2 days about Aaron Rodgers.
Brady, I'll say this. I've learned a long time ago, no matter how much my team does, what they can, what they cannot do, when bad things happen, they're not sending me to a sanitarium. They're not putting me in a 12-step program. I'm going to live in a stress-free, stroke-free, heart attack-free existence, no matter what goes on with my teams. And believe me, that was tested on Monday night. Fourth play in, and Aaron Rodgers out for the season.
You know, it's interesting. Earlier today, the Jets said they're not going to call Tom Brady. I believe that they should call Tom Brady, but I also believe that Tom Brady couldn't take that phone call as much as I think Tom Brady would want to take that phone call, because I'm wondering just deep down if Tom Brady feels like the girl who said yes to the prom date, and then 2 days later somebody better came along and she wishes she could change her mind, but she can't. Tom Brady got honored in Foxborough, said I'm a Patriot for life and all this stuff. He couldn't possibly take a call from the Jets, but I wonder if he wishes he could.
Put it this way. I know you love being an agent of chaos, Brady. We've known each other far too long that you love those kind of things to get people excited, upset, upbraided, whatever that is. And believe me, I'm not going to say that you're wrong to say that. I just never believe for 1 second that the Jets going to make that phone call because they know the answer is going to be from Tom Brady, and doesn't have not anything to do with him being a former Patriot quarterback and can't stand the Jets. Tom Brady's already on that ship in the ocean, heading into places unknown, but that's going to be his retirement. And if you're the New York Jets, you're already going to have a guy coming back next year, Aaron Rodgers. To have that kind of pomp and circumstance around Zach Wilson, your football team again, you could do that with Aaron Rodgers. But can you imagine what that will look and sound like if they make a call to Tom Brady and he goes, you know what, I'm not doing anything. Sure, we'll find out, see exactly how this works. I can't even imagine what that would look and sound like if he made that call to say, I'm coming back with the Jets. I know you like being an agent of chaos. I'm not going down that rope with you.
Given what's transpired with the Jets and given how pedestrian the Jets made the Bills look, how do things change for the Patriots in the AFC East now?
Well, that's a really good question, because if you're the Patriots, you have to feel a little bit emboldened by the way you're able to slow down the Eagles' running game. You didn't allow their receivers to get behind your secondary, because we talked about this, Brady, before the season got started. That's a potential top 15, top 12 defense in New England. And once they allowed Mac Jones to play a little bit, it's like they had him in timeout in the first half. And then they allowed him to have out there and go to recess. And also he was playing all over the place and making those kind of throws. So I wonder going forward, because the defense is still going to play well. And now you believe that division, unless Miami's 4x100 track team runs away and hides, you believe that Buffalo, under that kind of pressure, now their quarterback Josh Allen having those 4 turnovers, and Rodgers not playing quarterback from the New York Jets, although they got a bunch of filthy McNasties on defense, you can't believe if you're the Patriots that division is not there for you to try to have a chance to win it and see if you can find a way to get to the top of that division. And that shows exactly how competitive the NFL can be, especially when a key injury happens and could affect not just that team like the New York Jets, but potentially everybody in that division when it comes to the AFC East.
as far as the Patriots and Eagles go, are you in it's a moral victory because they played well against a team they were supposed to get boat raced by? Are you in they turned it over multiple times in the first 8 minutes of the game and blew a chance to steal one, and they're 0-1, and there's no such thing as a moral victory?
Second one, because moral victories are losses. I mean, people try to say, you know how sports information directors will tell you, man, we had a good season, but man, we were 6 points away from a winning season. That still means you had a losing season. And when you're the New England Patriots, the last thing you want is to have moral victories and you're trying to rally around that as a football team. That's not what Bill Belichick is all about. That's not what he wants his owner, Robert Kraft, to be about. And that's not going to be the case. This is a Patriots team that clearly understands that they clean up some things with the way they can play defense, their ability to run the football, and letting Mac Jones get the ball out to his playmakers and devising plays and formations to put defenses on skates and put them on their heels, then you can potentially do something in that division. But the last thing you want is the Patriots say, man, we played pretty well. God bless us, and we know people respect us. If you start hearing that, then this season is going to completely go south. You have to wonder exactly what does that mean for the future of the Patriots if we hear anything like that in any kind of post-game conversation from Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, or any player in that organization.
Freddie Coleman, Freddie and Harry with us here on the Brady Farkas Show, WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. You mentioned Miami's 4x100 track team, Patriots and Dolphins. Sunday night football. Your early thoughts on the matchup?
One thing I want to see, and we saw it a little bit from the Los Angeles Chargers, Brady, they were able to kind of slow down Miami a little bit, but then all of a sudden they decided, you know what, let's play one-on-one coverage with Tyreek Hill, because what could possibly go wrong? Well, 11 catches, 215 yards, that's what possibly could go wrong. The Patriots are not going to allow him to get behind him. They're going to try to take their shots deep. The Patriots want everything in front of them, rally to the football, because they've done a really good job of making sure the receivers don't run away from their defenders or have those wide open spaces, because the Eagles were able to make some plays. But we didn't see a lot of blown coverages against the Patriots when that happened, when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith tried to get loose. So Miami's not going to have the same kind of what I like to call 7-on-7 football that worked for them Sunday against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Patriots are not going to allow that. But the one thing I want to see is that if the Miami defense can't get home against New England, we saw what Justin Herbert was able to do until that final possession when he had back-to-back sacks and the ball game was lost. If the Patriots can protect Mac Jones and run the football and keep Miami out the field a little bit and maybe have a score or two before Miami gets the ball back, then that could be the recipe that can help this football team, especially when you know a Miami team, they want an up-and-down football game. If you're New England, you can't allow that game to turn into a firefight because you're not going to win that battle.
You know, Max said today that the Dolphins have just as good a defense as the Eagles. Is that true? Is that just the kind of thing you have to say at a press conference to not give motivation to the other team? Where do you stand on Miami's defense?
Their pass rush is as good as Philadelphia's. I'll say that. But their defense is not as good as Philadelphia's. I still have concern about their corners because they got toasted too many times by Justin Herbert, and they didn't stop the run either. Austin Eckler was able to have some success running the football. And the Eagles did not allow the Patriots to have those kind of break off running plays or take the time off the clock when it comes to kind of those running plays. So I'll say the pass rush is equivalent when it comes to the Dolphins and Eagles. But in terms of defense, no, the Dolphins defense, they have a long way to go. That Eagles defense is going to get better. They're going to find their rhythm. They're going to be able to stop the run and rush the passer. They can run 8-9 guys in that defensive line and outside linebacker that can really take the top off your offense. But I understand Mac Jones is trying to say, maybe try to make the Dolphins feel better without a bouquet of flowers or a Hallmark card. But no. The truth is that defensive line of the Eagles is far better than the Dolphins' defensive line, except when it comes to pass rushing the quarterback.
He had a fumble, which I think was a bad pass that led him to it. What did you think of Ezekiel Elliott, though, overall on Sunday?
He was what I would expect him to be, because we know that Burst is not going to be there. He's going to be your short yardage guy. He can really protect your quarterback in blitz pickup, and he can still catch the ball out of the backfield. So I guess I was not surprised that he put the ball on the ground. And let's be honest, the Eagles defense, they do that. They get after the quarterback and they force fumbles, and they're able to give a short field to their offense. So I wasn't surprised, but I will say this. I think the more and more he's out there, the better he's going to be for the Patriots, because they're going to make sure he's in special situations where he's going to be a full, effective running back for them. They're not going to put him in a situation where he can't do that anymore, even though he's still a relatively young man, not even 30 years of age in the National Football League. But in running back parlance, that's old in the National Football League. The Patriots have shown that they're going to put guys in positions where they can maximize what they do best and not try to put them out there where they try to make a weakness into a strength. That's not something that Bill Belichick has done in his Hall of Fame career.
Freddie Coleman with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Freddie, I ask a bunch of questions for the audience, and for my work life, I ask you one personal football question here. Talk me off the ledge a little bit. Are the Seahawks going to go better than 4-13 after what we saw on Sunday? My goodness, I'm a little shaky over here about them, Freddie.
Well, you should be, and here's why, because you and I talked about this before, Brady. The NFL is not game by game. It's not year by year. It's second by second. And the one thing that really bothered me about watching that game was how much more physical the Rams were, especially at the line of scrimmage. Geno Smith did not get the kind of protection that he needed to be effective. They could not run the football. And then the Rams offensive line, that was a huge, huge question mark coming into the season. They really controlled that line of scrimmage against a pretty good Seattle Seahawks defensive line with being able to run the football and get the ball on the outside to people not named Cooper Kupp. That's the one thing that surprised me about the Seattle Seahawks was that the Rams team was definitely more physical than them. So I understand that week by week in the National Football League, things can change. But if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you're going to find a way to make sure that you're not 0-2 after playing a Lions team where you're going on the road and you know they're going to be out of their minds with them being 1-0, beating Kansas City. They've all season tickets for the whole season when it comes to that. So there's a lot of excitement about that. I want to see that physical team that I saw from the Seattle Seahawks because we know the Detroit Lions will be physical on defense, getting after the quarterback, and they will run the football and be physical, that big offensive line. If the Seahawks can't match up to that, then I'll really have to talk you up the ledge next week because they'll be 0-2 after losing to Detroit on Sunday.
Yeah, that's very, very possible, and I'm very, very nervous. We'll see what happens. Freddie, appreciate you as always. Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio. We'll catch up in 7 days, Freddie.
Sounds good, my man. Take care and hang in there, Brady.
I'm going to try to hang in there. Freddie's right. The Seahawks game only goes one of two ways. Seahawks win close or Lions win in a rout. The Seahawks played the Lions last year and won like 48-45 or something. They're going to have to win that way again because they're not going to be able to stop the Lions. They can stop the Rams. They're not going to stop the Lions. Their only hope is that they could score with the Lions, which maybe they can, but I don't know. The adrenaline of a home opener, the adrenaline of Lions having some momentum, it is going to be really, really loud there, and it could get really ugly. I can see the Seahawks losing that game, 34-6, honestly. I mean, the Seahawks, I think, have a good team. They have a young team. I like Geno, but it was ugly last week, and it very well could be ugly again. I do like that Freddie said, Freddie makes it sound like he thinks also the Patriots have a chance to beat the Dolphins. And because he said they're not going to let Tyreek Hill get behind them. And that's important. Now, Tyreek Hill has not historically played well against John Jones. John Jones is the Patriots' fastest defensive back. I want to say Hill only has 7 catches and 16 targets when Jones is covering him in the past. So that's good news. The Patriots, you don't have a Tyreek Hill stopper, but you have a guy who can run-ish with him and make life easier for the rest of you. Patriots are going to have to get home defensively, right? If they can get to Tua, then that's going to obviously help the job of their defensive backs because you don't want Tua back there for 4 seconds patting the ball, waiting for Hill and Waddle to get open. You want to be in his grill before he has a chance to get rid of the ball. The ability to get pressure or the inability to get pressure is going to be a massive part of this game on Sunday. I do like, similar to what I just said about the Lions and the Seahawks, I do like there's going to be a lot of energy in Foxborough too on Sunday, right? There's going to be the angst of Patriot fans who don't want to go 0-2. It's a night game. It's a nationally televised game on Sunday Night Football. The Patriots are wearing the Pat Patriot red uniforms. There's going to be a lot of good juju there that maybe you can overwhelm the Dolphins. I don't think that you can completely, make them nervous, but maybe you can rattle them a little bit, especially early. Guys have played primetime games before, and Tyreek Hill's been in a Super Bowl, and Tua's played a national championship game. That's still not your first night game. This is still your first night game of the year. So I could see it being difficult for Miami at times. I hope it's difficult for Miami at times. I hope the Patriots make it difficult for Miami at times. I love that they're wearing the Pat Patriot jerseys. I love these jerseys. I really do like the current Patriot uniforms, the home uniforms with the monochrome, the monocolor, the all blue. I really actually do like that look a lot, but nothing is the Pat Patriot jerseys. Nothing is the Pat Patriot jerseys. I don't need to see the Flying Elvis jerseys again from the mid-90s. Danny, you weren't even born yet probably when the Patriots were using the royal blue jerseys with the giant numbers and the Drew Bledsoe, Ty Law days, Lawyer Malloy, Teddy Bruschi rookie year. Those uniforms are okay, but they're not as good as Pat Patriot. That's what we need to see. Pat Patriot. There you go. Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Some breaking Red Sox news. I'll tell you what it is next on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Barrie at 96.5. In Montpelier at 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Relief for thousands of residents today around Chester County, Pennsylvania, where police finally captured a convicted killer. State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens.
Tactical teams converged on the area where the heat source was. They were able to move in very quietly. They had the element of surprise. Cavalcante did not realize he was surrounded until that had occurred.
He'd been on the run for 14 days. In Libya, more bodies have been recovered from massive floods. Here's CBS's Holly Williams.
The city of Derna was home to about 100,000 people. Now over 5,000 of them are dead, according to one Libyan official. The authorities say across the country, twice that number are still missing. Storm Daniel, which killed 15 people in Greece last week, swept across the Mediterranean Sea, causing 2 dams to burst just outside Derna.
The White House is defending its decision to unfreeze billions of dollars in Iranian funds for the release of 5 detained Americans. National Security spokesman John Kirby.
This is not a payment of any kind. It's not ransom. These aren't U.S. taxpayer dollars. And we haven't lifted a single one of our sanctions on Iran. Iran will be getting no sanctions relief.
Kirby says that money will be held in a supervised account, and Iran will have to make requests to draw those funds. Thousands of writers and actors hit the picket lines in Hollywood today, marching from Netflix to Paramount with their demands. SAG president Fran Drescher.
It's because of these top-tier, highly greedy, self-absorbed executives that frankly are ruining it for everybody but themselves.
Meantime, the United Auto Workers Union says it could go on strike Friday if there's no deal by midnight tomorrow. Union President Sean Fain.
The UAW doesn't back down from a fight. We're willing to do what's necessary to win justice by any means necessary.
Big changes could be coming for the NFL. CBS's Matt Piper.
Following Aaron Rodgers' torn Achilles this week, some players are sounding off on the artificial surface at New York's MetLife Stadium and others, calling on the NFL to replace turf with natural grass because of apparent safety concerns.
Down goes Rodgers in the sack for Leonard Floyd.
The NFL Players Association wants the league to switch to grass, saying the data is clear that grass is simply safer than artificial turf.
Right now, only 15 NFL stadiums have grass. The other 15 have turf. This is CBS News.
When you think of hiring, think of Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. That's right, Dan. Because we always have a huge inventory, you'll never have to settle for an ugly vehicle at Lamoille Valley Ford. Now it's that time of year again, with new models coming, that the pressure is on to sell down, and that means you can save. Truck buyers, listen to these awesome new incentives. Right now, on any in-stock F-150, qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 36 months. Or how about this smoking 2-year lease deal? With $4,900 cash or trade plus fees, returning lessees can get a loaded 2023 F-150 Super Cab 4x4 for just $299 per month. Plus, right now at Lamoille Valley Ford, not only will you find the largest selection of new Ford vehicles in Vermont, but we also have a ton of late model, low mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs ready to go. Folks, the bottom line is we need to make room for next year's models, and my entire Lamoille Valley Ford team is ready to do whatever it takes to earn your business. Woo! You heard, Rick. Drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and the Big Dog Daddy year-end clearance sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
Find a rewarding career at the Gary Residence, a new state-of-the-art residential care home purposefully designed for the nurture and care of those living with memory loss.
It's a really great environment to work in, and it doesn't matter what position you have here. We're all one big happy family.
I'm really fortunate to work here and have all of these people in my life.
The Gary Residence is currently looking for experienced LPNs, med techs, and resident service assistants to join the memory care team. Learn more and apply at thegaryresidence.com.
Air Auto Service, located at 34 Maple Avenue in Barrie, Vermont, have recovered from the flood and are now open for normal hours. Kathy and Davis Air are happy to help you with all your mechanical needs for your vehicles. The Air family also wants to encourage everyone to come on downtown and support the local businesses as they reopen from the flood. We can all recover from this tragedy together. Set up an appointment today. Give them a call at 802-461-4503. That's 802-461-4503.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Red Sox baseball at a soggy Fenway Park is coming up about 5 minutes from now. So the tarp's on the field. It's been raining at Fenway leading up to this, but no word on anything happening. So we will get you out to Red Sox baseball in about 5 minutes. So breaking Red Sox news today. So remember last night when Kenley Jansen only threw 13 pitches, right? Game 2 of the doubleheader. Red Sox were down 4-1. Kenley Jansen left the game after just 13 pitches. Well, we found out afterwards that Kenley Jansen was sick. Now, Kenley Jansen has been placed on the COVID list. And I will be honest here. This is not me making light of COVID. I did not know the COVID list still existed in Major League Baseball until about last week. The Cincinnati Reds put like 5 guys on the COVID list last week, and now Kenley Jansen is on the COVID list too. What this means is that he's out for a minimum of a week. So that's a big deal. If you just want the Red Sox to win games, I get it. They're 7 games back in the wild card. It very well doesn't matter at this point, the actual results, except for pride and being able to say you finished over 500 and didn't finish last, or you finished ahead of the Yankees or whatever. But for the next week, the Red Sox are not going to have their closer, a guy who just, rattled off 20 consecutive saves, not that long ago. So not having Jansen and causing kind of a mix and match situation for Alex Cora, this is not an advantageous thing. I feel bad for Cora and the Red Sox. I feel bad for Jansen personally, who I just want to feel better. And remember, Jansen's got, had some heart issues, right? Irregular heartbeats, etc. So he's got some, what I would assume are underlying conditions here. So I hope that he is okay, and I hope that he's able to come back and pitch soon for the Red Sox. But I did not know that the COVID list was still in existence. I thought all COVID protocols were done after the 2021 season. That is what I thought. Remember 2021 season, Red Sox end up getting the ALCS. They had that huge COVID string in August where like Xander Bogaerts gets taken out of the dugout against Tampa, like just vanishes in the dugout. I thought that year ended all COVID protocols. And again, I'm not making light of the disease. It's obviously real and people get sick from it. But I did not know that the list still existed. So the Red Sox are going to be without Jansen, and they're going to be without him for, at minimum, the next week. I don't know beyond that what happens. Hopefully he's feeling well enough to just be back in 7 days. But if he's not, I don't know if you go on the list again for 7 days, or then if it becomes a day-to-day situation. I'm not sure, but Kenley Jansen on the COVID list, out for the next 7 days. Alex Cora just said, yeah, we're going to mix and match. So, are we going to see, Bernardino close a game? Are we going to see Martin close games? Are we going to see anyone else that got down there close games? I imagine if you're looking for a traditional closer, that Chris Martin would be kind of the first choice. But anybody who's down there now could get a chance at it, kind of depending on matchups. All right, Danny, let's get the Red Sox lineup. Both teams are 73 and 72. And by the way, Danny, this is an interesting one. The Red Sox and Yankees have only finished in last place, right? 4th and 5th in either order. They've only finished in last place before twice in Major League history. It seems destined we're headed there for a third time this year. No matter who finishes 4th and who finishes last, seems like we're headed for some baseball history. Esteban Florial leads off in center for the Yanks. Aaron Judge is at right. Gleyber Torres is at second. Giancarlo Stanton, the DH. Austin Wells is the catcher. He bats fifth. Anthony Volpe is the shortstop. He bats sixth. Jake Bowers is the first baseman. He bats seventh. Remember, Anthony Rizzo is out for the year. Oswaldo Cabrera is the 8-hitter. He's in left. And then the youngster Oswald Peraza is the 9-hitter, and he plays third. As for the Sox, Alex Verdugo in right. Rafael Devers at third with his 30th home run yesterday. Masataka Yoshida is the DH. Tristan Casas is at first. Wilger Abreu now hitting .326 with a homer and 8 ribbies is in left. Trevor Story's at short. Reese McGuire, the catcher. Cedon Rafaela in center tonight, hitting 8th. And Luis Arias is at second base. He bats 9th. Pitching matchup is Clark Schmidt, 9-8 with a 4.54 for the Yanks. Tanner Houck, 4-9 with a 5.28 for the Red Sox. And yeah, we'll see who Alex Cora goes to if the game is close in the ninth. Thanks to Freddie Coleman. Thanks to TC. Thanks to Danny for engineering the show. I'll see you tomorrow on DEV.
Podcast. It's time for the Mass Meet Red Sox pregame show. Proudly brought to you by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual.